In this video, we are going to make this coat rack with 3D printed hooks. That's me, Dave. Welcome to my one-car garage workshop. It's going to change over the next couple of years, and I hope you follow me on my journey. I'm going to be making videos documenting and exploring ideas of incorporating 3D printing into woodworking. The original design for this coat rack is by a Japanese designer. I'll have a link below to the original. I thought it was a real simple idea that uses a French cleat style wood base and hooks that could be easily printed with a 3D printer. I used some oak 1x4s that I had laying around. The actual dimensions are 3¼ by 3½ inches. So you could use 3/4 plywood and cut down to a 3½ inch strip if that's what you have. Here I'm just squaring down the ends with my crosscut sled. This is where you could cut the length down to your needs. If you decide to go longer with your cleat, you may just need to print more hooks later on. After cutting down the length, I set my table to 45 degrees. I'm using this digital angle gauge to find 45 to make sure I'm spot on, but you really don't need it. It's just really nice to have. You could also just use a protractor or some kind of other 45-degree angle guide. So we're going to rip the, the length of the profile like a French cleat to 45 degrees. Usually for French cleat you just do the top, but we're going to do both sides. So here I'm just trying to be really careful and just getting the 45 bevel right on the corner, just doing a dry run, making sure my micro jig fits the table and I'm not cutting into it. So I was going to try to cut conservatively and just nudge the fence over until I was spot on with the edge. But I was pretty lucky with the first pass and it looked like it just got the corner. So I just rotated around and here I'm cutting the other side. So later in the video I'll discuss how we can adjust our model in case you guys are a little bit off here. So my fence was set around 2¾ inch. I'm hand sanding with 160 grit sandpaper. If you have a sander, this will make this step quicker. Sanding will clear the surface of any small imperfections as well as making the surface smoother to the touch. You can skip this step altogether if you don't mind it the way it is. Here I'm marking where I'll put the holes to attach the cleat to the wall. I'm just centering them along the length and spacing them about an inch from the edge. If you're making a longer cleat, you may want to put additional support in the center. I'm using countersinks on the top surface so the screw will sit below the surface as we will be sliding our hooks over them. If you don't have a countersink, you can always drill the small hole and then use a larger drill bit for the countersink part. For finishing, I use these printed pyramid stands to keep the piece I'm working on elevated off the table. I'll have a link to the files I printed below. In the past, my go-to favorite for small projects is Minwax sprays, polyurethane, but for this project I'm trying Simple Finish by the Modern Podcast guys. It's a little messier, but as the name implies, it's simple. Wipe on pretty liberally with a lint-free cloth and wipe away the excess. Repeat 15 minutes later with a second coat. This will naturally seal and protect the wood. You can skip the step as well, but a nice finish will give you that professional look. So I'm still learning Fusion 360, so it might be really funny to the more experienced to see all the mistakes I make. But I still wanted to share my thought process of figuring out how to actually fabricate this hook. I first tried to model out the cleat we had cut earlier. This will be our virtual reference from which we build around. the way most 3D design programs work is to first start making a two-dimensional sketch and then extruding the part to make it a three-dimensional object. Don't worry, I'll be providing the model so you guys don't have to go through figuring this part out. But for those of you that know Fusion, definitely comment below and let me know what I could have done to make this bit quicker and easier. So for you guys who do know 360, enjoy the horror show that is my 3D modeling. This is probably my favorite part, extruding my sketch up to a three-dimensional object. This is, always when you start seeing it kind of come alive into this virtual environment and it starts to look like a physical object. Here's a 5-hour time lapse of the hook printing out in 50% infill, zero point 0.2 layer height in PLA.
So after modeling in Fusion 360, I like to make these test prints where I print the model with a few layers and I stop the print, and that way I have this thin piece that I could check the fit before I actually print a large piece that spends a lot of time and plastic and it might not fit actually really well. And as you can see, I actually made 3 different test fits because the first time I just completely got the dimensions wrong. I don't know what happened. It definitely wasn't measure twice, print once. It looks like I kind of flipped the dimensions and got the outside dimension right, but didn't put it right for the inside dimension. So I adjusted the model back in Fusion and just basically increased the length. And this is the second fit, which was almost exact. And at this point, I had just forgotten about offset to just basically increase a little bit of room because the measurements were just exactly the same. And having that offset will just allow me to have that wiggle room to slide the print on the wood piece and just have it fit and be able to slide the whole length of the piece of wood. So after that, it looked great, and I went ahead and made a full print. And it came out perfect. Looks really nice. And it slides on perfectly, and it'll be sturdy enough to hold our hats and coats. But I also thought, with this lighter color wood, maybe it was a nice idea to try printing in white. I thought it looked nice, but in the end, I think the wife definitely liked the darker color better. But let me know what you guys think. Which one? This is also Amazon White, PLA, and this is the Prussian Mint Galaxy Black. It's got a little bit of sparkle in it, and I think that's kind of cool. So now that it fits, we'll print out the other hooks and we'll mount this to the wall.
In case you guys aren't spot on with 3.5 inches, you guys can adjust the y-axis of the model to get that perfect fit when you guys do your test prints. I used the stud finder here to see if I could get it securely connected to the wall by just using studs, but I don't think I've ever installed anything where I didn't use wall anchors. But wall anchors are pretty simple, just follow the directions of the anchors you get, but mainly they're just drill a hole, put the anchor in, and get your screw and item screwed up on the wall. So I'm loosely screwing in the left side here and using a level to get it straight, drilling my pilot hole, and then getting that right screw into a wall anchor and just tightening it all up. And then it was a matter of putting on all the hooks and just getting everything even. I think this project came out fantastic, and I hope you guys liked it too. And you can make it with less than $5 worth of materials. And I hope you guys go out and make one. And if you can't, I hope you support and order from the original designer. In the future, I love to upgrade this to a walnut and try different color hooks or like a rainbow colored hook. If you guys like the video, it would mean a lot if you can hit that thumbs up and most importantly, subscribe to see more videos like this one. I'll have a list of the tools I used below, and thanks for watching.